Peace, family. Abargani, Islam, Salam, Hetepu, Rahubat, Gino Lako Ninani, Chief Noble, Bandele
Peace,
and
peace, y'all.
Keng back again on the scene.
All right. I got a little delay going. Peace, y'all. Barghani, Islam, Salam, Hetepu, Rahubat, Gino Lako Nani, Chief Noble, Bandele Amin, back again for another video. And today's video is going to be dealing with the coming Civil War. If y'all can't tell what's going on right now between these Democrats and these Republicans, you got your head under a rock or something, right? So we're gonna get in that today. We're gonna get into the coming war. We're gonna talk about the two proposals that each side has. So we're gonna deal with the Project 2025, and we're gonna deal with Agenda 2030. All right. So that's what we're gonna get into tonight. But before we get into that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and please share this video so everybody else can get down, right? And let me see. I'm gonna pull up our website, right? Y'all go to indigenousmoors.org.com. It is the one-stop shop, as you know it. And let me pull it up real quick. We're gonna pull it up. All right. So we got the one-stop shop. Please check out Indigenous Moors, right? And please check out our books. If you go to Indigenous Moors, you can go get our books. Our books are here, and they're also on Amazon, all right? So you can get them here on Amazon. But you can get all my books, and you can get King El Bay books, and you can get Amin Ma'ara books from here, okay? So if you into the sciences, please check out one of these books. We got a few selections, okay? So please go check that out. And you can check out other things on the website. Of course, we have a lot of different things going on with the website. But tonight's video, it might get ugly out here. You know what I mean? Because what we're gonna talk about today is what's going on politically right now. There's such a polarization between the Democrat and the Republican, and we got so-called black people who are very invested in the Democrats, and they have been. And we're going to talk about that. Why are so-called black people so invested in the Democrats, and why are the Republicans so bad, right? And we're going to look at 2025. Project 2025 is really being pumped out. Everybody know about 2025 right now, right? It's being portrayed out there by the liberals, right? The liberal media is blasting, because that's really what they have, to tell you the truth. Because, let's be honest, President Biden hasn't been looking the greatest, right? And because he's really been, I, I'm gonna say he's been not himself, right, for a long time. And because of that, you're gonna have is people are gonna ride with Biden no matter what, right? But we're gonna talk about what's really going on, because everybody's so focused on Project 2025, and we're gonna discuss that. But there is something else lurking in the mix, okay? And we got to look at that. Now, what the Democrats are doing, the liberals are pushing another agenda. Okay, the liberals do have an agenda, just like the Republicans got an agenda, right? And the agenda that's not being spoke of is Agenda 2030. Now, I spoke about Agenda 2030 in the last video, but we spoke about it under another name, right? It was called Agenda 21. So if anybody's heard of Agenda 21, you're going to love Agenda 2030 because it's an extension. It's like the next step up from Agenda 21. But the liberals are pushing this agenda, and this is going right under the radar. So, when we're talking about what's really going on, we really need to discuss this. So let's look at this. Well, what I want to do is I want to paint a picture for you guys, right? And this picture is the future. The future based on liberal ideology, okay? If you're looking at the liberals now, the liberals are very invested in certain things. They're into helping the LGBTQ community. They're into a lot of people coming in this country. They're doing a lot of these things, right? But they're also pushing another agenda. And I'm gonna paint this picture. So in this article, it talks about welcome to 2030. So they don't use the word agenda, but it's look at what they're proposing for 2030. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life, and never been better. So what I'm hearing among the liberals is you're gonna own nothing and love it, right? Which right now we're not. How far are we from 2030? We're like 5.5 years away from this time, so it's in the near future, right? And they're already talking about owning nothing and no privacy, right? When we're in a constitutional republic of government. So let's look at this. It says, welcome to the year 2030. Welcome to my city, or should I say our city. I don't own anything. I don't have a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or any clothes. You hear this? Okay, this is what the liberals are pushing. They don't talk about it. They got us all wrapped up in how Biden is all, feeble and not, able to run the office. But check it out. It says, I might seem odd to you, but it makes perfect sense for us in this city. Everything you consider a product has now become a service. I want you to understand that. Everything you considered a product has now become a service. They'll get to this in a minute. It says we have access to transportation, accommodation, food, and all the things we need in our daily lives. One by one, all these things became free. So it ended up not making sense for us to own much. So they're trying to project that people are going to want to, get rid of these things. They're, owning things is a hassle. It doesn't make sense to them in this world, which is only 5 years away. Okay. It says first communication has been digitized and free to everyone. Sounds good, right? Then when clean energy becomes free, things started to move quickly. So transportation dropped dramatically in price. It made no sense to own cars anymore. You see? Because we could call a driverless vehicle or a flying car for further journey within minutes. Now, you guys, let's stop right there. How far are we really away from this? I mean, we've definitely seen, Google and, in Silicon Valley already been testing this out years ago. Not too far away. It says we started transporting ourselves in a much more organized and coordinating way when public transit becomes easier, quicker, and more convenient than a car. Now I can hardly believe that we accepted congestion, traffic jams, and not to mention air pollution from combustion engines. What were we thinking? Now, what I want to say about this right here is when we talking about this particular paragraph, this, when you're looking at Project 2025, you can tell that that is a direct attack on this 2030 agenda. Because, like, we'll look at it. 2025, they're talking about, you know, keeping gasoline and things of that nature. They want to kind of stay where we are good, what has made America what it is. And 2030 is like, nah, we in the future. We got, we ain't even gonna own anything. Driving, everything's gonna be clean air, clean this. Now we understand that Biden has been pushing this. President Obama was pushing this. This is the agenda of the liberals. Okay. Now, and things sound good. Like, a lot of what they're saying sounds great. As always, they're presenting to us in a way that it sounds great. They want us to buy in to these things, right? So now it's saying that, let's get into this further. It says environmental problems seem far away. So it's saying in our city, we don't pay any rent. So now you don't pay rent because someone else is using our free space whenever we don't need it. My living room is used for business meetings when I am not there. So what they're saying is that this building you'll be living is rent free because you don't own it. You're not paying in anything to own. A lot of times we pay to own. Not in all cases. I understand people rent. They have rent and things of that nature. But when you don't pay for anything, what would be your stipulations? What agreements will you have for not paying anything? There's a exchange usually. Hey, I pay this much rent for this, and these are our conditions. So what would be the conditions? We already see one of them is privacy. You won't have privacy. You don't own it, so it will be given out to be used by other people. So now let's go on. It says once in a while, I will choose to cook for myself. So in the future, people won't even cook anymore. And we already see how people are using fast food and things of that nature, but people still cooking, right? But in this future, right, it says that they will choose to cook for themselves. It is easy. The necessary kitchen equipment is delivered at my door within minutes. It says since transport became free, we stopped having all those things stuffed in our home. So what will you have in your home? You won't own a kitchen. Basically, you won't have utensils or cooking equipment. Where's your refrigerator in the future? Where's your oven, your stove? Where are your appliances in the future? Right? It's saying that why keep a pasta maker, right? Why keep these things crammed into your cupboards, right? It says we can just order them when we need them. So now you don't own it, but it became a service. So when they're saying that everything's service provided, every time you need something, there will be some service to provide it for you. So what do y'all think of that? Y'all out there in the building, what do y'all think of that? What do y'all think of that? So now let's look at this. This will also make the breakthrough of a circular economy easier. So what's a circular economy, y'all? It says when products are turned into services, no one has an interest in things with a short lifespan. Everything is designed for durability, repairability, and recyclability. The materials are flowing more quickly in our economy and can be transformed to new products pretty easily. So environmental problems seem far away. And the thing is, what is the like I said, what is the major thing that liberals are talking about is the environment. Biden wants to do this, he wants the electric cars created by a certain time. And, he's pushing this agenda. This agenda is really part of a bigger plan by the United Nations, right? But I'm going to get into that. I'm gonna get into that. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but I want y'all to know that it's coming from a bigger place. So it's saying that um, now listen to this. In the cities, we have plenty of green space and plants and trees all over, right? I still do not understand why in the past we fill all free spots in the city with concrete. So, okay, so they're getting away from concrete jungles, right? Sounds good. This word, green, the green word, the green word has been turned against us, right? Just like the rainbow has been turned against us. And I'm not trying to say these people are wrong, but I'm saying like these symbols. So the green was once looked at as a noble gesture has now become part of an agenda. So when we're talking about green, it's a cover for what they really are trying to do. All right. Now I'm just talking to y'all. I'm just making this plain. Now it says that like the death of shopping. Okay. I'm not gonna go into this, but like AI, look, when AI robots took over so much of the work, we suddenly had time to eat well, sleep well, spend time with other people. Now, see, they're talking about AI. So, we understand this ain't even about AI tonight, but we got to talk about it, right? Because of the situation in the future that we're talking. AI, even right now, is becoming a threat. So if we're talking about in the next 5, 6 years, AI, they're wanting AI. The liberals are talking about using AI. AI is still such a controversial issue right now. We don't want a Skynet. You know what I'm saying? We're not looking for Skynet, and they're pushing this agenda. So you're gonna have AI doing the work. What you gonna be doing? Like I said, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna have no rent. You're not gonna own anything. You're not gonna be working. Sounds like what? A utopia? It does sound like a utopia, but there's a bigger agenda, y'all. A bigger agenda. But this is the story they're pushing. Okay, this is the story. All in all, it is a good life. So they're trying to push this. When has the Democratic Party actually really like? Okay, I'm gonna say this. When has the part in the past 50 years has the Democratic Party really fulfilled anything or made life better? When has the Republican Party really made life better? Right? We're playing this game with these two political parties. These two political parties are coming to a head because the 2030 agenda is in straight collision against Project 2025. Okay, let's look at Project 2025 so y'all can understand what's going on. Then, so Project 2025 is the collection of conservative, right, and right-wing policy proposals from, y'all check out the Heritage Foundation, right? Like I said, I'm not here to sway I'm not saying Donald Trump is better than President Biden, but I want to make this clear of what's going on between the both of them, the both of the parties. So it says that the project asserts that the entire executive branch is under direct control of the president. So uh, they want to give powers more executive branch powers. They want to give it more power. Okay, which you do have a delicacy of the three branches of government. So one is not supposed to override another. But it says the project asserts that the entire executive branch is under direct control of the president, which it is, right? Unitarily executive theory. It proposes reclassifying tens of thousands of federal civil service workers as political appointees in order to replace them with loyalists, while willing to enable the next Republican president policies. So this is what they're scaring you with, right? They're saying in doing so, the proponent argued that the change would dismantle what they view as a vast, unaccountable, and most liberal government bureaucracy. So right here, okay, this is a straight attack against the liberals, right? They want to knock out the liberal government bureaucracy. The project seeks to infuse the government and society. Now, this is where it goes dun 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 with Christian values. Now, to all my brothers out here and my sisters out here who have, been conscious, been in the African community, have been in the conscious community, what they try to do is force these Christian values. Now, what they're really saying is, okay, these Christian values or these values of, abortion, of values of life, the difference between the sexes, like Christians are making sense here. When we're talking about the basic moral values of a nation, right? So they're appealing to your moral value when they say Christian values. However, I say you are, conscious and aware. So beyond just the Christian values, it says the critics have criticized Project 2025 as an authoritarian Christian nationalist view to steer the U.S. toward autocracy. Okay, an autocracy is what? A government ruled by a ruler, right? So they're trying to say that they want to create an emperor. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna have emperors again, or somebody who has the rule, a king type thing, right? Many legal experts have said it would undermine the rule of law, the separation of powers, the separation of church and state, and civil liberties, right? Project 2025 envisions widespread changes to the government, particularly economic and social policies, and the role of the federal government and its agencies. The plan proposes taking partisan control of the DOJ, the FBI. They want to take over all of the alphabets, right? They want all the alphabets. They want to take control of it. And it says sharply reducing environmental and climate change regulation. So here's where we're coming with the class, right? Listen, this is the class. This is the major class, sharply reducing environmental and climate change regulations to favor fossil fuel production. So our little story that we read earlier about this clean air and these things, okay, this is where it becomes like this is where the bucking of two rams going at each other, right? They're going to buck over this because the liberals are using the whole fossil fuel production and the whole green energy for their whole agenda under the guise of green, right? So, Project 2025, like, bump that, right? Bump that. That's what I wanted you to understand. So now it even goes into, even more. I'm not going to go all the way into this, but it says it would be reformed according to the conservative principles. But it says the project seeks to cut funding for Medicare and Medicaid. So I'm gonna tell you like that right there, boom. As far as so-called black people, they gonna look at that like, if Trump gets back in there and this project is going to be put together. Now I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm gonna say this. I didn't see Trump doing this before, but now that he's getting back in there, he looks kind of good, y'all. It's going to be a close race. I do not think that President Biden is got it by a long shot. I think Trump definitely does have a chance to win the presidency. And because he does, they want to put Project 2025 into motion under him, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to try to get him to conform to this conservative viewpoint. Now, y'all know something, because y'all can say whatever y'all want about Trump, but one thing about him is he really is not a conservative. He really doesn't come off conservative, right? So let me look at these comments, man. Let's see what these comments is. I hear you, man. I'm gonna put him out here. So, a man, Ant Knox Ill, he's saying that I'm not looking forward to this. And you're right. The Civil War is not. Anytime you got Civil War, it's gonna be ugly, right? And he also said slavery. So, the issue with us is that anytime there's a civil war or anytime that you got these opposing forces, when we're looking at the Republican as the Republicans in this time and age are looked at among blacks as the bad guys. They're the ones who want to put people back into slavery. The Republicans, the conservatives want things back the old way, and to us that means that they want to take things back to like Jim Crow or something, right? And in many instances, I mean, these people are, have racist tendencies. So I'm not condoning that, right? But on the flip side, we got the Democrats, the liberals, which I talked about with Malcolm X, saying that they're the fox. They're the ones that talk real slick to you and always come around toward voting time and sell you a dream, right? So we're stuck in the between in this betweenness, and that has to be addressed. So I understand what you mean when you're saying slavery, bro. Like I really do. You know what I'm saying? I think that let me see something. Let me put this on here because I forgot to share this screen for y'all. I wanted to let me put this on here. I'm so used to the other where it just goes to each screen, but this one doesn't share the screen when I go to a new screen, right? So let me get back to okay, there we go. It just okay. So we talked about Project 2025. We've been discussing this, right? So like I said, the Project 2025 sounds scary in itself. It is the conservatives and the Republicans have been criticized for this plan, right? Because of their stance on climate change and the foreign trade. Other critics believe Project 2025 is rhetorical, window dressing for what would be 4 years of personal vengeance at any cost. So, in addition to trying to undo most everything implemented during the Biden administration, the project authors acknowledge that most of the proposals would require the Republican Party to control both of the House of Representatives, right, and the U.S. Senate. So, when we're talking about this Project 2025, even if Trump got in there, it says that the party, listen, acknowledges that most of the proposals would require a Republican Party to control both the houses. So even if, let's say, even if Trump gets in there, right, he's not going, he's not going to have control of both of the houses. Similar to what happened to him last time, when, and pretty much any time when presidents get in, when you got a Republican president, you tend to lose the House. That tends to bring a balance of powers, right? Now, what usually happens is you try to get things done. If you got both houses, you try to get things done as soon as you get in. Similar to like Obama passing the Affordable Care Act. He had both of the houses were Democratic, so he was able to pass, right? But usually, soon after that, he lost the House. He lost both houses, right? And he wasn't able to pass squat. And that's what usually happened when Trump was in office. He wasn't able to pass a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of things that are in place that would stop Trump from necessarily just having control, right? But let's look at this. Although Project 25 cannot by law promote a specific presidential candidate, many contributors have close ties to Donald Trump and the 2024 presidential campaign and the Heritage Foundation. A think tank closely aligned with Trump coordinates the initiative with various conservative groups run by Trump allies. In 2023, Trump campaign officials acknowledged the project aligned well with their Agenda 47 program. So, all right, y'all. So let's jump in the rabbit hole real quick because y'all probably ain't even heard of Agenda 47. So it says not to be confused with the Heritage Foundation agenda, right? Agenda 47, styled by the campaign, by Trump's campaign. So this is Trump, right? It's a package of proposal that Republican candidate Donald Trump states he would implement if elected. So let's look at the Agenda 47. You see, I mean, let's keep it real, man. All these cats got all these agendas, right? They got all these agendas going. We don't know what's really going on with either side. That's what I'm saying. Like for us to just be aligned against one party versus the other, it's like it's crazy. It's bonkers to me. So let's look at this. Agenda 47 is what Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign calls their formal policy plans, according to the Trump campaign. Right? So let's look. In 2023, Trump campaign officials acknowledged that Project 2025 aligned well with Agenda 47. Project 2025 has, as of June 2024, reported caused some annoyance. Listen, though, it has caused some annoyance in the Trump campaign, which has historically preferred fewer and more vague policy proposals to limit opportunities for criticism. One example is the policy recommendation that is found in both Agenda 47 and Project 2025 is the promise to reissue Executive 13957. Okay. So what is that? A Schedule F appointment as a job classification in the expected service of the United States Federal Civil Service that existed briefly at the end of the Trump administration. It would be contained policy related positions. It says removing their civil service protections. Okay, so it gets kind of heavy in there, right? We're not going, I ain't, for the time's sake, we're not going to get into that. But y'all got that information there. So y'all can look at that. It says that the plans include constructing freedom cities or empty federal land, investing in flying car manufacturing. Okay, so look, so this is the parallel. So the story of 2030, right? Talked about flying cars or things of that nature. Now, the difference is the flying cars manufacturing. So are the flying cars going to be things that we can buy? Because they're not necessarily saying anything about taking away your property rights, right? So the Republicans are not necessarily talking about taking away property rights. So let's look at this. It said investing in flying car manufacturing, introducing baby bonuses to encourage a baby boom, implementing protectionist trade policies, and over 40 years, 17 of the policies that Trump says he will implement if elected will require congressional approval, right? So some of his plans are legally controversial, such as ending birthright citizenship, and may require amending the Constitution, right? So it's murky out here, right? I mean, like I said, I mean, some of this sound good, and it's like both parties, they got good things. Some of these things sound good based on different sides, but they're tricking us, y'all. They want to create this new world order type thing on either side, and that's what this is the point that I'm trying to get to you. All right, so let me wrap this up to y'all because I ain't trying to bore y'all, man. I ain't trying to bore y'all, man, right? But let's go to this information right here. I want to go to basically what we're talking about, the Agenda 2030, right? Let's look at Agenda 2030, right? So for me, what we're talking about right here is Agenda 23, right? Um, let me see something. Let me see something. I'm gonna leave that alone. Okay, so this is, from my understanding, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about Agenda 23. So Agenda 23 is supposed to be a comprehensive plan adopted by the UN, right, in 2015, aiming to address the global challenges through 17 sustainable development goals. Okay, so the Agenda 2030 dealing with the liberals, right? It was passed in 2015. Like Barack Obama, one of his last things, that was like when he was going out. So in 2015, he proposed this. He went along with the UN. He didn't create this, but he was definitely a part of this. He wanted this. He was definitely for the 2030. Now, what it's saying is that they fear that this agenda implementation might lead to increased regulation and control by global institutions, potentially eroding the power of nation states and concentrating authority in the hands of few elites. So 2030, because it's a UN idea, and signing off on this would take away from the sovereignty of the United States. That's what they're saying. They're saying that you're giving away some of your powers to this agenda. You're signing off on it, allowing the UN to have more power. One of the primary concerns is the agenda's emphasis on climate action and environmental sustainability. So, right wing critics argue that these policies could lead to restrictive environmental regulation. So, when we're talking about these green policies, they say, "Oh, we got to have this green," but they're gonna put regulation on you. They're gonna regulate things, not just to like the company or corporations, but they're going to regulate things to you, to the people. And it says this might stifle the economic growth and encroach upon private property rights. So when we looked at that 2030 story in the beginning, they talked about how nobody owned anything. Understand, when they say private property is anything that you own. So it could be a house or it can be your laptop. So what happens is you won't own anything. You'll just be using everything. You won't have any property rights under 2030. They will also, and this is coming. They say in 2030, y'all. Like, come on. This is 5 years down the road. Okay, so we got to do something. It says they also worry that the push for renewable energy sources and a reduction of carbon emissions could result in job losses in traditional energy sectors such as coal, oil, and natural gas. So, of course, y'all, the oil companies are, going to be upset, right? Now, I'm not saying, me, like big oil company, they've been doing their thing for a long time. And I mean, we would love to see something else come into play, but the transition, this is where the Civil War gonna come. See, you understand something. The Civil War before, the first Civil War in the United States was dealing with resources before. We was dealing with property. How property was to be looked at. All these things were being dealt with during the Civil War. So when the Civil War happened, it wasn't just about slavery, but it was about property, which slaves were property, right? But it was bigger than just slaves, because you had a certain system in the South versus the North. So now you got one group saying we want, this is where the future want to go, and this is where but the other the other group want the future to go another way. So I don't, like, to me, it's not much different than the Civil War that happened in the 1800s, because the South had a vision of the future and the North had a view of the future. Now, who was the North? Who were them? Back then, it was the Republicans who had a vision of industrialization, right? the Industrial Revolution. They was like, look, the future is this. And they was like, we're not going to have slaves, but we're going to have wage workers. So we're going to just switch it out. So what I'm saying is, the government is good of creating change, but it doesn't really benefit the people like it's proposed to do, right? So let's keep looking at this. It says that another contentious aspect is to focus on social equality and inclusion. While these goals aim to reduce inequalities and promote gender equality, right-wing perspectives often perceive them as a threat to traditional values and social structures. So, like our traditional values as people that live here in America, whether you're melanated or not, we have certain values or certain ways we've done things. These things are going to change. Now, what I mean by that is, are we talking about like moral roles, like the role of a father and a mother? Those gender roles are going to be destroyed. They're already eroded under liberal governorship. It's already eroding that, right? The Republicans are definitely always about keeping traditional values in place. So this is not really far-fetched from a Republican viewpoint. It says that, moreover, the push for global citizenship and collaboration is sometimes seen as an attempt to dilute national identities and cultural heritage, right? Fostering a homogenized global culture that prioritizes collective goals over individual aspirations. Very socialism, okay? So let's say Agenda 2030, adopted by the UN in 2015, outlines 17 sustainable developmental goals. So these are the goals. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at these 17 goals and we're going to translate them into what they're really saying. So they're saying no poverty. They don't want any poverty in 2030. So the goal is to eradicate poverty in the guise of implementing a global welfare state, leading to total economic dependence on a centralized global government and cryptocurrency. So, I mean, these things are not far-fetched, right? Cryptocurrency is definitely something that is in the future, and it is definitely going to become a currency at some point, right? We already using electric money, e-money now, right? E-currency, right? So let's look at this. Zero hunger. Number 2, there are claims that the goal to end hunger is a strategy to control the global food supply and force GMO on all populations. So, America is like the guinea pig, right? They already, like, most of their food is GMO now. And so what they're trying to do is say, okay, with zero hunger, hey, we can create all kind of food. We got Monsanto and whatever companies that are globally that can create food and own that food, because GMO food is copywritten, if you understand what I'm saying. It's their food. Like, Monsanto owns the food that they create. So, like I said, zero hunger sound good, but not in the guise of GMO, y'all. Good health and well-being. So it suggests that global health initiatives are a cover for mass vaccination programs aimed in population control or in the introduction of microchips for surveillance purposes. So y'all like, man, this cat out here, man, crazy, man. He sound like conspiracy. But what they're saying is that, I mean, we already have the we won't say it, but we call it Bovid. We had the Bovid 20 already. And they showed you how they was going to implement it through that vaccination. So when you're talking about vaccinations, we're not talking about 1950s like how they used to do it. We're talking about like new age vaccinations where they have a lot of different substances that are electronic in the vaccination. right? That sound too far fetched, or or not? So let's look at number 4. It's saying quality education. So under the guise of quality education, well, critics argue that the efforts to provide quality education worldwide, of course, it's saying it's a means to indoctrinate children with specific ideologies, eroding national sovereignty and cultural identities. So, I mean, America, they already been doing that to the indigenous and the African indigenous people that were brought over here, and you know what I'm saying? They already did that. They already indoctrinated that program to them, but now they want to take it to the next level. So they want to erode the national sovereignty of the United States, and they want to erode and dissolve cultural identity, so people won't be proud of who they are. Right? This is 2030. It's still under 2030, y'all. This is day 17 things. Y'all check it out. So it says 5 is gender equality. So some claim that promoting gender equality is an attempt to disrupt traditional value structures and implement radical social engineering agendas. So, all these years, for hundreds of millions of years, it's been male, female. Now they want to do him, her, it, them, they. They want, there's confusion, right? They want to say, oh, you could be whatever. But they're using gender equality and using that term to allow people to continue to do this, right? Clean water and sanitation. So the conspiracy theory, like me and others, we have the efforts to ensure clean water and sanitation are a means to privatize water resources, an increase of more multinational corporations over essential natural resources. So of course, big companies, big corporations want to take over resources. They want to own natural resources. Affordable and clean energy. This is the big one, because this is what, like, everybody, this is what President Obama and President Biden and all them talk about: affordable clean energy. I know y'all heard them say that 100 million times. And it says that there are assertions that the push for clean energy is a cover for reducing economic competition by restricting access to affordable energy sources, ultimately benefiting a global elite, right? Usually, if somebody's going to consolidate and monopolize, somebody is benefiting from that, right? So it's saying that decent work and economic growth is 8. And critics argue that promoting decent work and economic growth worldwide is a strategy to, once again, homogenize labor laws, practices, potentially leading to the erosion of workers' rights and wages. The industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Some believe the investments in infrastructure and innovation are efforts to create a technocratic, y'all heard that? A technocratic society where technology and surveillance are used to control and monitor populations. So y'all tell me, I mean, it's already coming. Y'all see cameras everywhere now. What they want to do is just, the liberals want to definitely bring that into full bloom. Reduce inequality. So the goal is to reduce inequality. Is seen by some as a strategy to redistribute the wealth in a way that ultimately benefits a small global elite rather than the genuinely addressing disparities. And we've seen this again and again and again and again. We've seen them do this again. So, I mean, like, these things are not even like so far fetched. Sustainable cities and communities. This is going to be interesting. So the theory is that suggesting that efforts to create sustainable cities are part of the plan to concentrate populations in urban areas, making them easier to control and monitor. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. 12, reasonable consumption and production. This is going to be a good one for y'all. This is going to be a good one. It says that critics argue that promoting reasonable consumption is a means to impose strict regulations on individual behavior and consumer choices, leading to decreased personal freedoms. So, like, even with this one, it's like they gonna tell you, oh, you didn't have too much of that. Oh, you didn't have too much uh of this sugar. You didn't have too much of these particular products, right? You've consumed your fair share. So you won't even be able to buy that. Like when you go purchase it, it won't even allow you to purchase it. And all this stuff could be done under the green, like the Green Act, like this whole sustainable living. So it says the climate action. Some claim that the focus of climate action is a pretext to implementing global carbon tax and restrictive environmental policies that stifle economic growth and individual liberty. So I'm not sure, but I know a lot of people heard of carbon taxes, right? Carbon taxes. We have that's been talked about for the past 20 years. So they've been putting this, in your head, but the reality is if the liberals come in, this is the things that would be implemented. They would allow the UN to propose this and take over the United States. So it says that life below water, that's 14. 14, it says the goal to protect marine life is seen by some as an excuse to extend international control over the ocean and marine resources. So that's also limiting the sovereignty. Life on land. So the theory is suggesting that the efforts to protect terrestrial ecosystems are a means to restrict land use and property rights. Again, look at those words. Land to restrict land use and property rights, consolidating control over natural resources. So the government is taking over natural resources. Okay. Your property rights, once again, that term, you're losing your property rights. So it's saying that in number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. So critics would argue that promoting peace and justice is a strategy to create a one world government with centralized legal and judicial systems that override national law. So y'all want to take that in. See how they use these terms to lure us in 2030. Like you guys have no idea. You're so stuck on 2025 that you guys are not looking at what the other hand. You're looking at the left hand so hard, I would say the right. Y'all looking at the right hand so hard, the right wing, that y'all not looking at the left. Number 17, partnership for the goals. There are claims that fostering global partnership is a way to establish a network of international organizations that ultimately serve the interests of a global elite rather than the common good. Come on now. I mean, when has the Democratic Party ever been that party that's not up to something? I mean, like, come on. So now let's look at that and compare it to what I say about Agenda 2025. Because we talked about, I'm a fair, equal opportunity against any of these cats right here, right? Any of these saltines, right? So let's look. It's saying that the idea of Agenda 2025 has been a topic of speculation in political circles. We understand that, right? So it says one of the primary claims of Agenda 2025 conspiracy is the Republicans' aim to overhaul federal government and consolidate power to an executive branch. This would allegedly involve dismantling various regulatory agencies and shifting their responsibilities to the states, thereby reducing federal oversight, Proponents of this theory argue that such a move would weaken important protections for the environment, labor, and consumer rights, and could lead to increased corporate influence over government policies. So either way, the corporations is betting on either way. They like, look, y'all do whatever, man. We go get it. We go get this. The people are gonna lose either way it go. Y'all talking about evil versus lesser evil. I'm trying to figure out which one is the lesser evil. Y'all keep thinking that the liberals are lesser evil, but I'm like, I'm looking at they plan. They plan really don't look like it's any less of an evil. It's just the perception of the media and how it is projected to the masses does not give you a proper understanding of these things, right? So I'm just breaking this down. And what right here when they're talking about giving power back to the states, I mean the responsibility of the states were sovereign. They were sovereign entities that were loosely under the federal government at one time. And over time, the states have lost a lot of sovereignty through federal regulation. The 14th Amendment, these things of that nature, like these things, I know it sounds like it was a great thing to do, and I'm not gonna argue about that tonight, y'all. But the 14th Amendment gave federal regulation over the states. Y'all go look and read federal 14th Amendment and see if I'm not BSing, man. So now let's go into this. It says that another significant point is that it purported to plan to revamp the judicial system. According to the theory, Republicans intend to appoint a series of conservative judges who would reinterpret the Constitution in ways that align with their political ideology. This could include rolling back landmark decisions to civil rights, reproductive rights, healthcare, and fundamentally altering the legal landscape of the United States. So that's what got everybody panties in a bunch right here. Cause they like, oh no, he's gonna mess with these civil rights. We gonna be slaves. They already showing what they did to reproductive rights. Oh, they gonna make it where you can't do this and that. I hear you. And the healthcare, they gonna probably try to dismantle a lot of that Obamacare, right? So I'm just stating the facts. I'm not saying that this is good or bad. I mean, this is part of the conservative agenda. So I mean, that's something to look at. But just looking at just that and saying, "Oh, that's why I got to vote this way," I'm trying to keep you in mind. Agenda 2030. So let's look at the last part. Additionally, the theory suggests Republicans aim to implement sweeping changes to the electoral process to secure long-term political dominance. This could involve strict voter ID laws, gerrymandering, and other measures that could disproportionately affect minority communities and swing states. Critics argue that such changes will undermine democratic principles and erode public trust in the electoral system. Okay, so we got these two opposing forces that are trying to implement these agendas. But what does this mean for us? Where do we stand in the middle? Like, as the melanated so-called black people sit in the middle, and the people are in the middle of these two opposing parties, out of ignorance, we vote one way or the other. And I know we got third parties. We've got the Green Party, or we did, or we got different people that's running, but those people don't even matter. It's like it's really not even about them. It's like if you don't vote for these two, if you don't vote for either one, if you vote in the third party, then that's a vote for one of the two, right? They got us in a bind. But what I'm showing is what we gotta know, what we must know going into dealing with these political parties and how the people are going to have to make these things apparent to these political parties in order for us to make a change with them. You understand what I'm saying? Because the people are the ones that's going to fall victim on either way. And instead of us just voting for one over the other and giving us the illusion of a vote, we've really got to stand up to these policies and scrutinize these policies on both sides. Okay, so we got to stop riding Biden and going along with what he's talking about, and we got to stop just going along with Trump. And I understand that Biden's in a particular, like, his health is in question, and because his health is in question, that could jeopardize his election. And we might only be with Trump. And personally, like I said, for me, it really doesn't matter. Either way, we are going into a new world order, and I just want us to stop focusing so hard on a political party and look at the real picture, right? So I hope y'all enjoyed that presentation today. Please like this video. Please, y'all, share this video. I appreciate y'all coming through. Please check out some more of the videos and check out me and King LB will be back on the air with our video on Pro Se Moors. So we're gonna be dropping that probably tomorrow. So y'all stay up, y'all stay on that knowledge, and I'm gonna get at y'all. Peace.